Have you ever wondered, where was Michael, the mighty archangel of God, when Lucifer, the shining morning star, rose in rebellion? Was he watching from afar? Or was he standing right beside the throne when the first whispers of pride echoed through heaven's golden halls? Imagine this. The heavens were radiant with music. The choirs of angels sang in perfect unity, and light filled every realm. Then, silence. A single discordant thought rippled through eternity, the thought of I will ascend. Lucifer's pride began as a spark, but sparks can set fire to entire worlds. So where was Michael, the warrior of light, heaven's general, the one who would one day cry, "Who is like unto God?" Was he hesitant? Was he afraid? Or was he preparing for the first battle that would ever stain eternity with the memory of war? And here's the question that grips the soul. If heaven itself could face rebellion, what does that tell us about the war being fought for our own hearts today? Because this isn't just a story about angels. It's a mirror, reflecting the same struggle between pride and purpose, obedience and ambition, that still rages within us. Stay with me, because by the end of this story you'll not only understand where Michael was, but what his silence, his stance, and his sword reveal about the heart of God, justice, and loyalty itself. Before we begin this journey through celestial history, take a moment. If you love uncovering hidden biblical truths and heavenly mysteries, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Gospel Insights, and click that bell icon so you never miss a revelation that could deepen your faith and awaken your spirit. Before rebellion ever had a name, heaven was flawless. Not just beautiful, perfect. Every note sung by the angels resonated with harmony. Every beam of light carried purpose. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was broken. It was a creation so pure that even time bowed in reverence to the will of the Almighty. And at the center of that divine symphony stood two angels whose destinies would forever shape eternity: Lucifer and Michael. Lucifer, the light bearer, was radiant beyond description. Scripture calls him the anointed cherub that covers, clothed in jewels and fire, adorned with wisdom, his voice like 1,000 golden harps. He wasn't just beautiful, he was breathtaking. When he moved, light followed. When he spoke, heaven listened. Michael, on the other hand, was quiet strength. Where Lucifer led choirs, Michael led armies. Where Lucifer shone with brilliance, Michael glowed with conviction. He wasn't the loudest or the most dazzling, but he carried something far more powerful: faithfulness. And that's where the story begins. For ages, the two served side by side, Lucifer as heaven's worship leader, Michael as heaven's defender. Together, they reflected two aspects of God's heart: glory and justice. Can you imagine it? The two most powerful angels in the universe, walking the corridors of heaven's light, united under one purpose: to glorify the Creator who gave them breath. But here's the thing. Every heart, even angelic ones, has a throne. A place where something must sit, either God or self. And one day, in the heart of the most beautiful being ever created, pride whispered. It wasn't loud. Pride never is at first. It starts with a question. Why should he have all the glory? Why must every song be about him? Why can't I rise a little higher? The thought was poison dressed in poetry, and heaven didn't yet know what was coming. Lucifer's radiance began to turn inward. The light that once reflected God's glory started to feed on itself. His songs grew colder. His eyes, once filled with adoration, now gleamed with ambition. Michael noticed it. The warrior angel saw the shift before most did. He saw how Lucifer's followers began to whisper in the shadowed halls of heaven, how the unity among the angels was fracturing like glass under pressure. Have you ever watched someone you love start to change and felt powerless to stop it? That's what Michael felt. Because this wasn't just another angel. This was his brother in arms. The one who stood beside him when galaxies were spoken into existence. the one who led the songs that made stars burn brighter. And now something was off. Lucifer's sermons became about potential. His words were laced with half-truths that sounded righteous but hid rebellion. He began saying things like, "Are we not divine too? Do we not share his essence? Why must we always serve? Why not reign?" The angels listened. Some dismissed him, but others were drawn to the charisma, to the vision of freedom wrapped in pride. And Michael? He remained silent, watchful. He didn't act rashly. He didn't accuse. He waited. Because Michael understood something crucial. In heaven, justice isn't about reaction, it's about revelation. The truth always exposes itself in time, and slowly, painfully, it did. Lucifer's gatherings grew. His followers multiplied. And what began as murmurs in the corridors became a movement. Heaven's light began to flicker with tension. There was a moment, ancient and eternal, when God's voice filled all creation. "Lucifer, son of the morning, what is this that you have conceived in your heart?" Heaven fell silent. Every angel froze. Even the stars seemed to hold their breath. And somewhere in that silence stood Michael, sword at his side, eyes fixed on the throne, waiting, not for permission to fight, but for the will of God to be revealed. Because Michael knew something that Lucifer had forgotten. Power means nothing without obedience. That's where Michael was, not absent, not afraid, but standing in the presence of the Almighty, waiting for the command that would change heaven forever. And when that command came, it would unleash the first war the universe had ever seen. Heaven had never known tension. Until then. For eons, creation moved in harmony. Every angel had a purpose. Every note of praise was like breath to the universe itself. But now, that harmony had been disturbed. Lucifer, the once radiant morning star, was no longer satisfied to reflect God's glory. He wanted to possess it. His light, which once danced in obedience, began to burn with a selfish flame. And like wildfire, that flame spread. You could almost hear it, whispers drifting through heaven's golden courts. Lucifer speaks truth. He only wants freedom. Why should we bow forever? The seed of rebellion had found fertile ground in pride. And while these whispers grew, Michael stood still, watching, praying, waiting. Heaven was not his to defend on impulse, it was his to defend on command. His loyalty was not to emotion, but to truth. Lucifer began to gather his followers in secret, angels of influence, beauty, and strength. Some joined out of loyalty, some out of curiosity, and some tragically because they too desired a throne. He began to speak like a leader. He promised new order, new freedom. He twisted divine justice into oppression and humility into weakness. He painted service as slavery and God's throne as tyranny. Isn't that the same deception that echoes through humanity today? That independence is freedom and submission is shame? That we can be our own gods, our own truth, our own light? That lie didn't start on earth. It started there, in the heart of Lucifer, and heaven began to divide. Michael felt it, the weight of grief more than anger. He wasn't watching an enemy rise, he was watching a brother fall. You see, Michael and Lucifer were not strangers. They had served side by side since the dawn of creation. They had sung together in the first symphony of the stars. They had seen galaxies spin into being, watched light pierce the void, and now that same light was being twisted into darkness. The angels of heaven, once united in one voice, began to hesitate. Worship faltered. Silence grew heavy in the courts of light. For the first time, doubt existed in a place that once knew only faith. And then, the day came. Lucifer walked into the assembly of the hosts of heaven, robed in light, eyes filled with defiance. The atmosphere trembled with his presence. He stood not as a servant, but as a rival. In a voice that thundered through eternity, he spoke words that heaven had never heard before. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. The echo of that declaration shattered heaven's peace. Every angel turned. Some fell in worship before God's throne in horror. Others hesitated, and then a silence like judgment fell across eternity. It wasn't the silence of fear, it was the silence before war. Michael stepped forward. His armor shone with divine brilliance. His eyes were filled with sorrow, but his voice carried heaven's authority. He didn't speak his own words. He declared heaven's truth. Who is like unto God? That was his cry. Not a challenge, but a revelation. It was as if all creation answered in chorus. No one. That's when the lines were drawn. Lucifer and his followers stood on one side, proud and defiant. Michael and the faithful hosts stood on the other, resolute and unwavering. The light that once united them now separated them. And heaven, the realm of peace, became a battlefield. Lightning tore across the skies. Thrones trembled. The songs of praise turned into war cries. Michael unsheathed his sword, a weapon not forged of metal, but of light, of justice, of truth itself. With one word from the throne, the command came, and heaven roared. The war had begun. Lucifer's followers fought with fury, Michael's with purpose. Every clash of their swords sent ripples through the cosmos. Planets quaked, stars dimmed. Creation itself seemed to mourn. But Michael didn't fight out of hatred. He fought out of obedience. Every strike of his blade was an act of worship. Every victory, a testament to God's righteousness. Can you imagine that? Even in battle, Michael's purpose was not destruction. It was restoration. He wasn't fighting to win for himself. He was fighting to uphold the order of heaven. Lucifer, however, fought to dethrone God. His brilliance turned to fury. His beauty twisted into corruption. He became not a bearer of light, but a bringer of darkness. And yet, despite his rebellion, despite his rage, he could not overcome. Because no power, no pride, no rebellion can defeat truth. The moment Lucifer raised his sword against heaven, his fall was already written. And when the final blow came, Michael struck, not with triumph, but with tears. Because victory, when it costs a brother's soul, doesn't feel like victory at all. Lucifer and his angels were cast out, banished from heaven's light into eternal darkness. And as they fell, the heavens shook one last time. Michael stood in silence, sword lowered, wings still. The war was over, but heaven would never be the same again. The radiant halls were quiet. The music of worship began to rise again, softly, trembling but pure. And for the first time in eternity, the angels understood what it meant to choose. Michael had remained steadfast. He had stayed near the throne, faithful in silence, ready when called. That's where he was when rebellion ignited. Not hiding, not hesitating, but waiting in loyalty until heaven's will was revealed. And through that obedience, he became heaven's first defender, the standard of holy courage for every generation that would follow. Because true power isn't found in rising higher, it's found in bowing lower. Heaven was silent. The war was over, but that silence wasn't peace. It was grief. The kind of stillness that lingers after a storm, when you can still smell the lightning and hear the echo of thunder far away. Michael stood among the shining hosts, wings folded, his sword dimming from battle's glow. The air still hummed with the memory of clashing power. Fragments of fallen glory drifted like fading embers through heaven's light. Lucifer, once the most radiant being in existence, was gone. His throne stripped, his title erased. His name, now Satan, would forever be synonymous with rebellion. And for the first time, Michael understood that victory can feel like loss. Heaven had been cleansed, but it had also been scarred. Can you imagine that moment? To see your brother, once magnificent, now cast down into darkness? To know that he would never again walk through the golden gates or hear the choirs of praise? Michael wasn't rejoicing. He was weeping. Because that's what true warriors of God do. They don't glory in judgment. They glory in mercy. And even though Lucifer's fate was sealed, Michael's heart still ached for what was lost. The heavens, though bright, carried a shadow. The angels moved with solemn reverence, each one aware that even in perfection, free will had its price. The rebellion had taught heaven something profound, that love cannot exist without choice, and loyalty means nothing until it's tested. Lucifer's fall wasn't just a defeat, it was a revelation. The universe now understood that glory belongs only to the one who gives it. No light is ever its own source. Every star shines because of the sun it reflects. And when a being tries to be its own light, darkness is born. Michael knew that truth deeply. It became the mark of his existence, the essence of his name. Who is like unto God? After the fall, Michael wasn't just heaven's general anymore. He became heaven's guardian, its watchtower, its protector against any spark of pride that might rise again. From that day forward, the Archangel of War became the Archangel of humility through power. Let's pause and reflect. How many of us have faced our own Lucifer moments? Times when pride whispers, "You deserve more. You shouldn't have to bow. You should rule your own life." Those whispers come from the same rebellion that once shook heaven. And in those moments, we all stand where Michael stood, between pride and obedience, between glory and surrender. That's why Michael's story matters, because it's not just celestial history, it's a mirror to the human heart. But let's return to heaven for a moment. After the war, after the dust settled, the Father's throne glowed brighter than ever. The faithful angels gathered, kneeling in reverence. Out of the stillness came a voice, gentle but infinite. It wasn't a shout. It wasn't anger. It was the sound of eternal authority wrapped in compassion. "Let all who remain be strengthened, for my kingdom cannot be shaken." Those words rolled across the heavens like light over water, and the angels, one by one, began to lift their wings again. Songs of restoration replaced cries of war. The harmony of heaven was reborn. Michael bowed deeply. His armor bore the marks of battle, scars of loyalty. Yet those scars shone like gold under divine light. They were not wounds. They were witnesses. The Almighty looked upon him and said, "You have stood." That's all. 3 words. But in them was eternity. Because sometimes the greatest reward in heaven isn't glory or position. It's hearing the voice of God say, "You stood when others fell." From that moment on, Michael became the symbol of heavenly resistance to darkness. Every time Satan tried to accuse, to deceive, or to rise again, Michael would stand in his way. You see, the war in heaven may have ended, but the battle for creation had just begun. Satan, now cast down, turned his fury toward a new world, Earth. He could no longer touch heaven, so he sought to corrupt what God loved most, us. And where was Michael then? Watching, guarding, obeying. Every time darkness tried to pierce the veil between realms, Michael's flame of justice would flare. From the temptation of man to the end times yet to come, Scripture shows him again and again, standing between evil and destiny. Michael is not just a soldier, he is a sentinel. The sound of his wings has become the sound of divine defense. He was there when Moses' body was contested. He was there leading the armies of heaven in Revelation. He will be there when the trumpet sounds and heaven's armies ride once more. Because Michael's role didn't end with Lucifer's fall, it began there. He became the eternal reminder that no matter how fierce the darkness, obedience will always outshine rebellion. And perhaps that's why even now the enemy trembles at his name, not because of Michael's power, but because of what it represents: unwavering faith in the unchangeable God. That's where Michael was during Lucifer's rebellion, not hiding in fear, not standing in pride, but waiting, watching, and wielding truth at the exact moment heaven called. Because sometimes, faith looks like patience. And sometimes, victory looks like obedience. Michael's silence before the war wasn't absence. It was readiness. His roar during battle wasn't rage, it was worship. And his stillness after victory wasn't exhaustion, it was reverence. That is the legacy of heaven's warrior. And that, my friends, is why when we say, "Who is like unto God?" the universe still echoes, "No one." Michael's story wasn't just a celestial battle between light and darkness. It was, and still is, a living parable. A reflection of the conflict that wages within every heart that has ever loved, served, and struggled between obedience and pride. Michael's greatness was never in his strength. It was in his surrender. While Lucifer sought a throne, Michael sought only to stand. While Lucifer shouted, "I will ascend," Michael whispered, "Who is like unto God?" That single question shattered every lie, every illusion of equality with the Creator. It was not an argument, it was a declaration of truth. Michael's faithfulness teaches us that power without humility becomes poison, that victory without obedience becomes vanity, and that true strength is found not in the thunder of your sword, but in the quiet of your submission to divine will. Heaven didn't remember Michael for his might. Heaven remembered him for his faithfulness. And even now, his presence echoes through scripture and prophecy. When Daniel prayed, it was Michael who contended with the powers of Persia. When Moses' body was disputed, it was Michael who stood in defense of God's decree. And in the final chapters of Revelation, it will be Michael once more who leads the armies of heaven against the dragon, Satan, the same adversary he cast down ages ago. The circle of eternity closes with the same truth it began with. God's kingdom cannot be shaken, and his servants cannot be defeated when they stand in his name. So what does this mean for you and me? It means every time pride whispers, "You deserve more," we must remember Michael's cry, "Who is like unto God?" Every time temptation says, "You can stand alone," we must remember the fall of Lucifer. Michael's silence in heaven's crisis teaches us patience. His cry in the midst of battle teaches us courage. His stillness after victory teaches us worship. In him we see the heart of every believer who refuses to compromise truth, who fights unseen wars in prayer, who stands firm when others fall away. And maybe that's why God chose Michael, not for his brilliance, not for his beauty, but for his loyalty. Because in a universe filled with light, it was the humble heart that truly reflected the glory of the Most High. So when you feel surrounded by chaos, when rebellion rises within or around you, remember this: stand still, wait on God, trust his timing, and when the moment comes, raise your sword, not in anger, but in faith. If this story stirred something deep in your heart, if you felt the power of Michael's obedience and the warning of Lucifer's pride, don't leave without joining the mission. Hit like, subscribe to Gospel Insights, and click the bell icon to journey with us through more divine mysteries and biblical revelations that will strengthen your faith and awaken your soul. Until next time, stand firm, stay humble, and remember, the greatest victory you'll ever win is the one where you choose to obey.